tell me a little bit about your work with Mind Life and what you just presented to the Dalai Lama?
Mm-hmm. I've been with Mind and Life pretty much since the beginning, at least from the when they're trying to train the sort of new generation.
So this is someone who has an academic background in a particular science and who has a meditative practice.
That's right. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a scientist, so it could also be a scholar. So there's two meetings at Mind and Life. One are the dialogues with His Holiness, and then there's the Summer Institute, which is really about cultivating the next generation, to sort of present them to His Holiness, like, look what we've created, our little products, and to have us present our research to him in person. So we all presented on different things, and I presented on this most recent research on, meditation-related difficulties and adverse effects, difficult stages. He had a very interesting response, which was basically that problems will arise when people don't have enough theoretical preparation. And he told a story where he had been invited to give a blessing to a new monastery in South India. Mm-hmm. They were very excited to have him come, and it was a huge ceremony and a tour, and they were showing him around, and there's this beautiful Zendo meditation hall, and he's looking around, and he's like, where's your library? Huh. And they're like, oh, no, like, we don't have a library, like, this is our beautiful meditation hall, and he's like, not blessing it. We've taken these practices and in some ways just decided what we were going to do them for. Like, what's the intention? Whatever you want.
Right.
And in some ways that's very freeing, and there's probably a lot of new possibilities within that, but also there's obviously, now we're learning.
The possibilities are that it's made meditation practice available to anyone and everyone.
Right.
And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is saying, well, actually, you need to be grounding that in a much wider and deeper theoretical base.
That's right.
In other words, you just can't take mindfulness out of Buddhism so fast.
Right.
Mindfulness out of the teachings that it comes from so quickly.
Solons was saying that his kind of speculation would be that he would expect to see a difference between meditators whose personal practices are grounded in a much broader understanding of the path versus someone who has less of an understanding but pursues a particular line of practice.
Yes, and that's
then also, I think, at the beginning, I think too much expectation.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, so that's pretty much.
I think lacking the holistic picture.
Yeah.
And there's too much expectation. Then easily these kind of things can happen. Yes.
Maybe Willoughby, you can just sum up with a final question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've asked a lot of the Buddhist scholars, actually Jimpa and Alan, what do they make of this? What are these? And what do we do about them? And I do think that context is a big issue that needs to be pursued more. But I was just going to stop and ask you, if you saw these in your own students, what would you recommend? That's my first question. And the second question is, within the West, when this is happening in the West, because it's decontextualized, because we're doing this almost in a medical model and we don't really have all of these larger systems around to support, what do you suggest for us?
The key factor really is having a broader understanding of the path. For example, the kind of experiences you are describing are actually at the level of personal experience. So within the Buddhist understanding of the progression of experience, one is supposed to proceed from the first level of understanding derived from listening and studying on to understanding derived from contemplation and critical thinking, reflection, then eventually culminating in meditative.
I think just heard and then develop some sort of excitement, and then just is a follow. So we must go past the second level of understanding, analyze by yourself, and read more books, more information. Then, kasoda, dikshe. Together.
So then you can correlate the various elements.
One book mentioned one thing, then another book mentioned maybe slightly different. Then analyze. So we need more knowledge, not hearing, but you yourself, you study, read, and analyze. Then you get some kind of conviction. After thoroughly studying and
Comparisons.
Then develop some kind of conviction, firm conviction, then implement or meditate. I don't think any danger. And then also the basics of Buddhist, that's the same Pali tradition as well as Sanskrit tradition, both, which is Shila, Samadhi, and Vipassana.
So there's also an understanding of the progression, beginning from some kind of groundedness in ethics, morality, and then moving on to cultivation of attention or single-pointedness, then eventually to the wisdom. Someone was saying that if he were to meet one of his students, who has expressed these kind of problems, the first thing would say, "Who told you to do such practices?" This reminds him of a story of a Tibetan Lama who was quite stern. So once he was asked a question,
scholar, really good scholar.
So he was asked by someone about the difficulty of meditation. So Rinpoche said, "But then who's forcing you to do it?"
So all these, of course, I think these actually is a volunteer basis. No one force on them. However, I think without knowing the fuller picture, I think one story about, I think 3 years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, the one Indian state where it's a Buddha Gaya exists. So the state government, they very kindly constructed one Buddhist temple, very good one. So they concerned people, they came to see me, seeking some my sort of suggestions. And in that blueprint they mentioned as a meditation center.
Yes.
No other sort of library or these things. So then I told them,
Yes.
Sanjebe Chana, Gongandi, Sanjebe Gongstiogoris, they don't Migu Karre, Gongo Karre, Gulu Kadisquare. Did the Shebet on Gomjogor mother? She never check Marisha.
Yes. So His Holiness was shown the blueprint for this the temple that they were establishing. And there was, in the complex, there was no library. There was only one meditation room. So His Holiness asked the delegation that in this meditation hall, as part of a complex of a temple, Buddhist temple, ideally, the meditation that the people are going to practice is supposed to be Buddhist practice, meditation practice. So in that case, the practitioners will need to know what kind of meditation they are practicing, what should be the underlying motivation
What
for
goal?
engaging in it, and
Ultimate
what
goal.
should be the goal?
Then the motivation, then the proper sort of meditative sort of technique. So without knowing that, then I told, half joke, I told them, some businessmen in Bombay or Bangalore, very busy, then go there and few days complete rest in the name of meditation. No use. Then one day return, again it's the same sort of trouble life.
Lifestyle.
So like that, I think, I feel the lack of fuller knowledge, fuller picture. That's my view. And you should investigate more.
Thank you, Willoughby. Yes, we're